I'm so tired. I was thinking of doing these tomorrow, but um, I was like, what if I don't have enough time? So here we are. For those who watch this afterwards, I'll try to make sure that I get to the predictions as much as possible, or rather as quickly as possible. Um, I'm working on the videos. I'm working on translations because these are some of the things that were requested. Um, just that it's so much to do on the channel that it's not because I don't want to. I think I've said this before. Um, but yeah, I'm working on doing that. Um, I'm also going to try and actually do upsets predictions because normally I don't do upsets predictions. I just um even though it's upsets predictions, but like I don't actually give like specific fighters who I feel like are going to actually get the upset. I just tell you fights to avoid basically. So I'm going to try to start pinpointing um, possible, like highly possible upsets. I think I attempted that on the previous card. I'm going to try and do that on this one as well. Tweezy Rich, how are you, man? Welcome to the stream. So yeah, let's actually get to the upsets predictions. Melissa Mullins versus Claudia Segula. Melissa Mullins is the favorite at minus 260, and Claudia is the underdog at plus 195. Do I think an upset is possible here? To be honest, yeah, largely because I feel like they both have more or less the same level of experience. I honestly wouldn't say Melissa Mullins is an elite fighter by no means, but at the very least, I feel like she's had um, better experience. If Segula wins, I'll quit prediction. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie to you, Twizzy man. It's gonna be a little bit closer because um, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. Even though I agree she hasn't faced decent competition, I'm just kidding, but I'm confident she's a little bit better. Yeah, I agree, but I think it's going to be a little bit close. I just went with Melissa Mullins largely because I feel like because of experience, but I think an upset is definitely possible here. Largely because Ramiz Aliyev, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name properly. Welcome to the stream, man. So yeah, I think an upset is possible here. My subscribers and I are going with Melissa Mullins, but definitely the fight is close. I feel like, despite the fact that Melissa Mullins has had like a couple of fights in the UFC, I wouldn't be so confident that she is levels above Saigula, Claudia, by the I meant to say. So I wouldn't be too confident that she's levels above her. Um, yeah, so I'd say an upset is possible here. So yeah, on to the next one. Trayshawn Gall versus Antonio Trocoli. My subscribers and I went with Antonio Trocoli. Choco, Trayshawn, my subscribers and I went with Trayshawn Gall. Um, Trayshawn Gore is the favorite at minus 180, and Antonio Tocoli is the underdog at plus 145. To be honest, I would be significantly confident that Trayshawn Gore wins this fight. I'm still confident, but my confidence is not as high, and only because of the reach, right? The height and reach, because I feel like it's going to influence the fight significantly. And I made this particular point in my previous predictions that I feel like Shara is an incredible kickboxer, and he was having trouble dealing with Antonio Trocoli. So if Trocoli comes into this fight with any level of intention to actually fight and win this fight, it might be a problem for Trayshawn Gore because the reach is insane. I think he has like I don't know. I think he has like his reach is 80 point something, and then Trajan Gore is like at 73 or something like that. Like it's significant. So um, I'm worried. I'm worried. But you know what? I feel like Trajan Gore has power, has a decent wrestling. And but he was also preparing for Bo Nickel, so hopefully, his fighting abilities, both on the ground and standing up, has significantly improved. This is probably one of the few fights on the card that I would say I feel a little bit confident in. Not significantly, last week I didn't have a lot of. I actually didn't have any confident picks. I didn't have any confident parlay, but I think all the people that I said were mid locks. MMA picks. MMA. I don't know. I can't read Russian. I'm assuming it's Russian. Anyway, so all the people I said were locks last week. I think I actually won. I can't remember if I said Garrett Armfield was a mid-level confident pick, but nonetheless, I think all of them won. So I'm going to try and do the same thing here, and also just try to predict the upsets. But I can't really blame myself for not accurately predicting upsets, largely because my focus is not on upsets. It's more on actually getting fights right. So I'm going to try doing that. If you just joined the stream, basically what I was saying was I'm going to try and predict possible upsets, maybe basically possible fights that I might get wrong. But for example, last week I got 10 out of 13, so that's actually good. So I can't really say that I feel bad that I didn't try. But my focus is always on actually having accurate predictions. But yeah, so yeah, the only thing that concerns me about Trajan Gore is the reach of Antonio Trocoli. Uh, all he needs to do is just do a little bit more than what he was doing in the fight between him and um, Yaguzaku. I'll give you my safe picks once I'm done with the stream, or rather once I'm done with the predictions. If you are in a hurry, you can check the video section. My safe and risky picks are out there. Um, so yeah. Anyway, do I think an upset is possible on the Antonio Trocoli versus? I think an upset is possible because, like I said, I feel like if Antonio Trocoli comes in and does a little bit better, England, my friend, how are you, man? How are you? I'm in South Africa. So if Trocoli comes in and tries to do a little bit more than what he did when he was fighting Shadow Magomedov, I think it's gonna be a problem for Trajan Gore. The reach is too much for me. And on the ground, I think that's where Antonio Trocoli excels. I don't know how good he is on the ground, but I don't think it's that great. If you couldn't take down Shara Magomedov, and I mean Trajan Gore is a little bit more explosive, but that's the problem. Like the height might allow Trocoli to avoid getting taken down, and that's where normally whenever someone has a reach advantage, the best way to equalize it is to take them down, which is basically what Joaquin Buckley was doing when he was fighting. I think it was Ruziboyev, if I'm not mistaken. He was mixing it up, and it made him tired. Like that's one of the best ways to actually deal with the reach. But in this situation, Chokoli is good on the ground. I just don't know how good he is. But yeah, so enough picks. I wouldn't be shocked if Trajan Gore lost this. Anyway, on to the next one. Trajan subbed a 6'4" dude. The height won't be an issue. T012. Okay, that's a nice insight. Okay. But the problem. Okay, let me not actually dispute it. Um, just that my only concern is you have a Yaguza. What are the possible upsets? I'm going through them. Yagu Zaku. I'm going through the possible upsets right now. Um, The problem I think with Antonio Chocoli is that he can wrestle, like he's decent on the ground. So that's why I'm worried. But you make a good point. Anyway, Cody Steinman versus Damon Blackshear. My subscribers and I went with Damon Blackshear. Cody Steinman is the underdog at plus 190, and the Damon Blackshear is the favorite at minus 250. Do I think an upset is possible here? Yeah, 100%. I don't have a lot of confidence in Damon Blackshear. Uh, Same TM. I do hear you though. He's big. He's a big guy. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Kendrick Lamar, how are you? Wow. Okay. I'm good, man. So I think I had too high hopes for Damon Blackshear, and to be fair to him, he has been fighting really talented fighters, and he hasn't gotten the opportunity to develop. But to be honest, I feel like Cody Stenman is going to be significantly better on the feet. The only path to victory that I see for Damon Blackshear obviously is going to be on the ground. Um, and I don't know if it's going to be easy. I think it might be challenging for him to actually. Okay, not it won't be too difficult. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. But yeah, the problem for me is that I don't believe in Damon Blackshear striking. I mentioned it in the last prediction video that I saw him actually training in Tiger Muay Thai or something like that to improve his kickboxing, or rather his Muay Thai, basically his stand up, right? I saw him making attempts to improve, but hello from Taiwan, you look Kim Kardashian, wow. Wow. Anyway, so yeah, he seems to be working on his striking, which is good. But so far, I don't. I feel like there's something missing, and maybe that something might actually get fixed in this particular upcoming fight. So I'm not very confident in Damon Blackshear actually getting this done. Especially because I feel like it's 50-50. On the feet, it's going to be Cody Stenman, and on the ground is going to be Damon Blackshear. And we've seen recently that a lot of stand-up fighters are able to actually keep the fight on the feet. More and more people are finding ways to actually avoid getting taken down. And if you're not, people like Hamza Chimaev or Bo Nickel, it's gonna be a problem for you to get the fight to the ground. But these are not elite level fighters, so maybe it might be a little bit easier for him to take the fight to the ground. But yeah, I think an upset is definitely possible here. I'll try to narrow it down once I'm done. I'll try to actually pinpoint the fights that I feel like the highest probability of an upset exists. Right. But for now, I just want to give you the fights that I don't feel too confident about. Matthew Samuelsberger versus Charles Redkey. My subscribers and I went with Charles Redkey. Matthew Samuelsberger is the underdog at plus 135, and the Charles Redkey is the favorite at minus 170. Another issue. These cards are just crazy, man. I don't know, man. Redkey, I think, is like 34. In my head, he looked blue coffee. Hey, how are you, man? In my head, Charles Redkey is like, I don't know, like maybe 27, 26. He's still a prospect, but in reality, I think he's like 34 years old. And what I saw in him, I don't know if it's there or not. And plus, Matthew Samuelsberger has actually beaten decent competition, has fought really talented people, and has beaten some of them, So, and I mean, Redkey has not looked like someone who's going to run through anyone. So that's why my subscribers actually predicted a. What's up, my guy? How are you, bro? Keep up the good work, brother. Your call is always on point. Um, Chikui point. I appreciate that, man. Twizy. Samuel's burger hits like a truck. I just think he wrestles a decision. Yeah, I think that's one of my biggest concerns in this particular fight. Um, I mean, Radke is a good is good on the ground, but uh, I don't know. I don't feel confident in his ability to actually take it there consistently for 3 rounds. Um, yeah, I just I just used my strategy and analysis to actually pick him, but I wouldn't actually sit here and tell you that Charles Radke is definitely going to win, and I feel like the odds reflect that. I don't know if I read you the odds. It's plus 135 for Matthew Samuelsberger and one minus 170 for Charles Radke. So that just goes to show how little confidence people have, or how close it is. Because if it's this close, it means there are a significant amount of people who felt like Matthew Samuelsberger is going to win this fight. Um, Samuelsberger should win. He hits hard. Yeah, that's the point that Tweezy Rich was making. Lizard, good to see you. Good to see you in high spirits after the Alex fight. Thank you, man. A veteran. What's your Polo? What's your confident picks? I'm going to get to that. I just want to get through this first. So yeah, I think an upset is definitely possible here. I think the odds reflect that. Um, so yeah, on to the next one. Elizel Zaleski dos Santos versus Zachary Scroggin. If he can defend takedowns, he should win. Yeah, I agree. Depends if it stays upright. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Um, Dos Santos is the favorite at minus 550. Damn. And Zachary Scroggin is the underdog at plus 400. Ah. I think that fight got cancelled. No, the fight that got cancelled is Dos Santos versus what do you call him? Nicolas Dalby. I think this is the new fight that was put together after that one was cancelled. Um, my subscribers and I went with Dos Santos, and I don't want to lie. I'm a little bit upset at myself. If I'm wrong about this fight, I'm going to be disappointed in myself. Dalby pulled out for an injury. I'm not particularly sure about the reason, but I know that he pulled out. So I'm going to be mad at myself because, to be honest, I picked Zachary Scroggin to actually win, which is crazy. But when you look at the fact that number one, Zachary as well as Dos Santos have more or less the same level of finishing ability, and I know people are going to argue, "Well, he's been fighting cans." Yeah, that's 100% true. But at the same time, I feel like there are people who come from there are people who are saying Habib was fighting cans outside the UFC. You know, there are so many people who came into the UFC fighting cans and actually started winning and fighting decent competition. Um, is old, man. Like if we were talking about Dos Santos and he was like 34, I'd say yeah, you have a decent point. But Dos Santos now is like 37, probably approaching 38 now. He's no longer the same, right? And this is coming from someone who actually picked Dos Santos to beat Nicolas Dalby, right? I honestly picked Zachary Scroggin, but I was like, I don't know, man. I was worried about Dos Santos's experience. That's the only thing that swayed my pick. And I'm if there was a percentage above 100%, I'd say this fight is 100 over 100% risky, largely because a part of me still feels like Zachary, especially at these odds. It's crazy for me to think that there are people who are actually this many people who are this confident. Um, let me see. Araya, according to you, can Denise Gomes finish the fight under 3 rounds? In women's MMA, let me see. Denise Gomes. I don't know. I don't think so. I honestly don't think. Okay, you're making me speak about a fight that I haven't gotten to yet. I'll tell you my opinion. I'll try to respond to that once I get to that fight. Um, Jason Gordon, experience goes a long way. Yeah, that's true, but there's only so much that experience can do. Like, for example, right now, how many people are confident that Stipe is going to win the fight between him and John Jones? John Jones, by the way, is also like 37 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So we're not talking about like a 35-year-old or a 34-year-old. But how confident are you that Stipe has a shot at beating John Jones? And what's your reasoning? I'm sure the majority of you, the reason is because Stipe is 42 years old, right? Like age does count in MMA. And if ever we were talking about this fight, let's say 7 years ago or 8 years ago, it would be a different fight. I feel like a lot of people's opinions about this fight would be different. I think it would have been significantly more competitive because Stipe would still be in his prime, John Jones would still be in his prime, right? So age does play a significant factor in how fights play out, and here we're dealing with a young upcoming fighter, and he's not from a terrible gym. That's one of the other reasons that swayed my opinion. Zachary Reese has a 71% finishing rate. Dos Santos has a 70% finishing rate. And granted, I understand that Dos Santos was busy finishing some of the best fighters in the world, and Zachary Reese was busy finishing cans. And I'm not going to defend that. But he trains at Marathon MMA. Zachary Reese trains at Marathon MMA. Mixed informative. What's up, my I'm good, man. I don't know why you're saying that, but anyway, Tweezy Rich Squadrons is sort of live. Randy Brown is the same size. I just wonder if he can grapple with. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I struggled. I can't remember the last time I struggled with a pick as much as I did with this one. So as I was saying, Zachary Scrogen trains at Marathon MMA with people like Trey Ogden. If you watch the UFC, like every single if you are a really like a true fan, I think you know who Trey Ogden is. The dude is a solid fighter. Like he's not ranked yet, or he's not like a ranked level fighter. But outside the rankings, I feel like he's a very decent fighter. And then he's training with Garrett Armfield, who I feel like arguably won the fight last week. If the fight was not in Canada, I think he would have won. I'm a little bit bitter about those fights because I could have gotten 12 out of 13, but that's beside the point. I feel like he's training with solid fighters, and I don't like to associate people with where they train too much. But the mere fact that he has, even if those are not his training partners, it clearly shows that the people at the gym know how to develop decent fighters. Not good fighters, but decent fighters. So I don't feel like Zachary is going to come here without a decent plan. I don't think Zachary is going to come here to get slaughtered. And once again, he's going up against someone who's 37 years old. I feel like Dos Santos is going to be very dangerous in the first round. I think he's going to probably fade, depending on Reese's cardio. But he has like a couple of decisions, so maybe his cardio is not that terrible. Um, I think his last fight, I think it was a decision. It was a title fight. and he won. Actually, he won a decision. So I don't know, man. I'm honestly concerned about this one, but uh, I said all of that to say an upset is possible, and of course, his competition, like the level of competition he's been fighting, is terrible. Like 0 and 2, 3 and 2, 6 and 4, 5 and 4, 9 and 17, 9 and 14. That's terrible. I'm not going to defend that, but I'm just saying this one for minus 550 is insane because I think there's a significantly high possibility that Dos Santos is going to lose this fight. But my official pick is Elisao Dos Santos. I'm going to regret this if I'm wrong, because my strategy, to be honest, said Scroggin is going to win this fight. Um, but it's close, so I just felt like this time, for the first time in a very long time, I'm like, you know what, strategy? I disagree with you, and I'm going to go with my thoughts. Let's see how my brain serves me. Well, I came up with the strategy, but it was to avoid me being influenced by a lot of things. Hopefully, I'm right. So let's go, Dos Santos. um, let me get done with this. I'll respond once I'm done. So yeah, an upset is definitely possible here. On to the next one: Bolanos versus Cortavious Romias. My subscribers and I went with Goston Bolanos. Bolanos is the underdog at plus 140. Cortavious is the favorite at minus 175. Do I think an upset is possible here? Yeah, of course. Like I picked Bolanos. I've I've heard a lot of people trashing. I've heard a lot of people trashing my pick, but I mean, to be honest, the only defense I have for Bolanos is that people are judging him too harshly. I think between Bolanos and yeah, I think between Bolanos and Cortavious, Bolanos has fought better competition, right? That's number one. Number two, Cortavious did not look great on the contender series. So I'm not going to sit here and act like this dude is an elite level fighter. And I know we're not talking about elite level fighters, but people are acting like this guy is like the most incredible fighter ever. And I honestly disagree. I feel like Bolanos will have the advantage on the feet. On the ground, obviously, I'd say maybe Cortavious. Um, but yeah, I feel like Bolanos has fought better competition. They are more or less the same fighter. I just feel like Bolanos is a little bit better. He performed, even though he lost. Um, I just remember everything that people were saying. But I mean, last week, okay, there were a couple of people who felt like Ribeiro would actually win this one. The fight between him and the other guy. So yeah, this is one of my few underdogs on the card. I think Bolanos is going to win, and the fact that my subscribers are also picking him makes me feel a little bit more confident because they are smart as well, you know. So when they say someone is going to win, when we agree on a fight, most of the time we are right, right? The problem is when we disagree on a fight. No, we are not always right when we agree on a fight, but um, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, my pick is Guston Bolanos. I don't have a lot of things to defend him. I just feel like he's fought better competition. I think he's going to be the better fighter on the feet, on the ground. If his takedown defense is terrible, then he's gonna have a really bad night. So if within the first few minutes of the fight, he can defend takedowns, I think he's probably going to win if he doesn't gas out. So do I think an upset is possible? I mean, I'm picking the underdog here, so yeah, an upset is definitely possible. um, On to the next one: Carolina Kavulkevich versus Denise Gomes. My subscribers and I went with Denise Gomes. Carolina is the underdog at plus 320. Denise Gomes is the favorite at minus 430. Do I think an upset is possible here? Uh, an upset is possible only because it's women's MMA. But recently, women's MMA has been a little bit more consistent. I think Denise Gomes should actually win this fight. But on the feet, I think it's going to be competitive. So I felt like the best way for her to actually secure the win is to take the fight to the ground, because I feel like if the fight stays on the feet, it's going to be significantly competitive. Um, yeah, I think that's how the fight goes. But because it's women's MMA, I don't know. I don't see Denise Gomes actually losing this fight, but you never know, man. Eduarda Mora should have won her last fight. I was very confident. Her and Dudakova, just I'll forever reference them because I was so confident in them winning those fights, and they just came in and just crapped on everything. Anyway, I think Denise should actually win. Okay, I'll actually respond to Twizy. I almost read the whole thing. I'm almost done, so we can have a conversation once I'm done. Um, Gordon. So yeah, I think Denise should win. I'm not going to doubt her. I feel like she's the better fighter. Plus, I think Carolina is like 39 years old, so it's not good for her. So yeah, I think Denise Gom should actually win this fight. Not super confident, but do I think an upset is possible here? I don't know, man. I don't think so. I don't think so. um, uh, the comments. Anyway, by the way, like as I was saying, Carolina is like 39, so like I don't think an upset is possible here. On to the next one. Mansour Abdul Malik versus Dusko Tudorovic. My subscribers and I went with Mansour. Mansour is the favorite at minus 375, and Dusko Tudorovic is the underdog at plus 280. Do I think an upset is possible here? Yeah, man. I think Dusko Tudorovic has like I think he has like a 92% finishing rate. Mansour has a 100% finishing rate. If anything, if nothing else, this is going to be a very short fight. Probably going to end in the first or second round because both of them have an insanely high finishing rate. Um, but that also tells me that the fight is very risky because I feel like I didn't see the fight, Mansour's fight on the Contender Series, unfortunately. So it's hard to actually gauge how good he is. But nonetheless, I feel like Dusko Tudorovic is going to be better on the feet. I'm not gonna lie. I think Abdul's best shot at winning this fight is to take it to the ground. I saw a couple of things. I do my research. So I feel like Dusko is going to be significantly better. Maybe not significantly. Yeah, significantly. Plus the experience as well. Um, in the UFC. I don't feel like Mansoor should be such a massive favorite because we're talking about someone who has experience in the UFC, who has a plus 90% finishing rate, and who's probably going to be better on the feet. And with, I wouldn't say great takedown defense, but decent takedown defense. I don't know why he's minus 375. I don't think he's that. Based on my research, I don't feel like I haven't seen anything that tells me that Malik is an elite fighter. He's good. I just feel like he's on the verge of being fraud checked. And I hardly say this about anyone. There are a couple of fighters I should actually start pointing this out, because a lot of these people end up being fraud checked. And that's why I was able to see that Hamza is going to win, because there are certain people that I can tell. It's not just about their fighting style. There are other things involved in seeing if a fighter is going to be a true contender. And you can see them. I don't feel like at this point maybe he can improve. Maybe those things that I'm not seeing in him can actually develop as he fights in the UFC. But at this point, I don't see an elite fighter. I just see someone who's good. And I feel like Dusko has decent striking. He has a high finishing ability, and he has everything it takes to get the upset here. So yeah, I think an upset is possible here. Um, I don't know why Mansoor is such a massive favorite, but I also picked him, so I shouldn't even be asking this question. so, so you know what? Yeah, I understand why he's such a massive favorite, but on a serious note though, he shouldn't be minus 375. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if Dusko Tudorovic knocks him out. I'm not gonna lie to you. Because this guy has experience in the UFC, finishing ability is going to be better on the feet. You can disagree, it's fine, but so far my breakdowns have been really good. And yeah, but once again, just for clarity, I'm picking Malik, right? I I think he's going to be slightly better, but I'm not I'm not as confident as people are on this particular dude. Anyway, on to the next one. Luana Pinheiro versus Gillian Robertson. My subscribers and I went with Gillian Robertson. Luana Pinheiro is the underdog at plus 200. And Gillian Robertson is the favorite at minus 265. Do I think an upset is possible? I think this fight for me looks exactly like the fight between Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Denise Gomes. The only difference is Luana Pinheiro is not as old as Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Um, but Luana does not have cardio. Uh, Luana has a padded record. I used to think she was really good. But when you look at her record, it's not that great because I think she was undefeated about maybe 2, 3 fights ago. Um, I don't know, man. Let me see on the feed. Like that's why I said it's basically the same as for me. It's basically the same as Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Denise Gomes because I feel like on the feed it might be a little bit competitive, but if it goes to the later rounds, I'd give the advantage to Gillian Robertson. But where I feel like Gillian Robertson is going to dominate is on the ground. Um, do I feel? Let me see if it's the same for Denise Gomes. Yeah, yeah, it's basically the same as. Okay, but Denise Gomes has knockout power, so it's not exactly the same because I feel like Denise Gomes has the ability to knock out. um, Carolina. So I think the threat from Denise Gomes will be a bit higher. So because of the threat on the feet, maybe she might be able to get the fight to the ground a little bit easier than Gillian Robertson, especially because number one, Carolina is a little bit older than Luana Pinheiro, and number two, I don't feel like Gillian Robertson has that much power. So it's going to look more or less the same, but I wouldn't be surprised if Denise Gomes gets a finish somehow or dominates significantly, and Luana Pinheiro versus Gillian Robertson is a little bit closer. Um, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think Gillian Robertson should actually win this one. My confidence in this fight is the same as in the Denise Gomes fight. Not very confident, but I think Gillian Robertson should actually win this fight. Anyway, do I think an upset is possible? Yeah, I don't know, man. Luana is so unreliable. I want to believe in her, and even though it's women's MMA, I mean, of the two, the person who I feel like is trying to have an MMA career, it just feels like um, it feels like it's Gillian Robertson. I don't see Gillian Robertson getting tired. I don't see her being out grappled. I don't feel like what do you call her? I mean, Luana is good at defending takedowns, but she's still unreliable, man. So I'm not gonna. But I started doing this thing called who wins prediction like robbery predictions, basically predicting who is more likely to win a robbery. Luana Pinheiro is more likely to win a robbery. So because of that, I can't believe this is the sport we watch. I forgot that, in the Denise Gomes fight, I think Denise Gomes will probably win a robbery if ever it comes to it. Luana Pinheiro in this fight is probably going to win a robbery if this fight is close. So because of that, I was going to say it's not risky, but because number one, I feel like it's going to be a decision. Luana Pinheiro can defend takedowns, right? The on the feet, it's going to be close. And if it goes to a decision, I think Luana Pinheiro can win a robbery. I think I would pick her to win the robbery. So because of that, I will say an upset is possible. Only because I feel like it's going to go to a decision, and if a robbery is going to happen, it's going to favor Luana Pinheiro. So sadly, I know I know we don't look at things like that, but it influences the fight and it influences the outcome, and it's something that we have to take into consideration, and that's why I'm adding it to the channel. For a very long time, I was like, we need to deal with the judges, but it doesn't seem like the UFC is going to do anything about it. In fact, I don't think any commission is working on anything to do anything about the horrible judging that exists in MMA. So we might as well start predicting who is going to win a robbery, so that even when you are putting your money on these particular fights, you go into it knowing that this person might be robbed. And I can tell you now, Gillian Robertson, of the two, is going to be the one who's going to get robbed. And this is going to go to a decision. And I don't think Gillian Robertson is going to win in a dominating fashion. So it might be a close decision, and a close decision might go to Luana Pinheiro, even if she lost. On to the next one, Ricky Terkios versus Bernardo Sopage. Um, Goal. Uh, my subscribers and I went with Bernardo Sopage. Ricky Terkios is the underdog at plus 275. Sopage is the favorite at minus 350. Do I think an upset is possible? Yeah. I feel like I'm the way I'm predicting this card feels like what I was doing last week because I had no confidence in any of the picks that I made and I still came out on top. A lot of people are trashing, and this is what they were doing with Dustin Stoltzfus, right? A lot of people are trashing Ricky Turkios, right? And I feel like it's rightfully so, but but um, shit. Ricky might win this fight. Ricky might. I was saying I'm going to give you guys my best underdogs or my best the fights that I feel like I might get wrong. I think Ricky Tekios might win this fight. Like if there's ever one of the okay, let me finish this, but I think you know what I'm about to say. I think Ricky Tekios is one of the best underdogs on this card, if not the very best. But I'll give you a list of the underdogs that I feel like are pretty solid. I think Ricky Tekios is very underrated. Not underrated, but in this fight, and I'm picking Bernardo Sopage. Like I need people to understand that my channel I focus on giving you accurate information, whether it works against my picks or not. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts about a specific fight, and I try to be a little bit more critical of my own picks because it helps me be better. It helps me improve. So don't see me criticizing my own predictions and think I don't put into my like I put. That's why my prediction accuracy is so high. But still, I have to be honest. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know everything and I predict everything 100%. So I have to give you my reasons for feeling a little bit concerned, right? So Ricky Tekios, I think, is going to be significantly better on the feet. I think he has the reach. Not, I think, it's a fact. He has the reach advantage. Um, he has the power. I think he's going to be better in terms of striking because of the reach, because of the power. I think he's going to be the better striker between the two. And even on the ground, I wouldn't feel too confident this whole Page. Why am I picking Sopage? Look, I'm kidding, guys. I use a strategy. It has been working significantly well. That's the only reason why I'm sticking to this pick. But I think Ricky Tekios is probably the best underdog on this card. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is probably the best underdog on the card, in my opinion. Um, Ricky could definitely win this fight, and the fact that Sopage is minus 350 might hurt a lot of people's feelings. But yeah, I think Polo, I'm going to give you. I'm about to finish, and I'll give you my most confident. I wouldn't say most confident, but I'd say mid-level confident picks. Because there are no confident picks here. Like the fights are very closely matched. And they could go either way. That's one of the reasons why. Um, so yeah, an upset is definitely possible here. I'm picking Sopage. My subscribers are picking Sopage. Sopage is the favorite at minus 350, but I could see him losing this fight. Anyway, on to the next one. Gerald Mearshard versus Reina Derrida. My subscribers and I went with Reina Derrida. Um, Gerald Mearshard is the underdog at plus 215. Reina Derrida is the favorite at minus 280. Do I think an upset is possible here? I mean, Gerald Mearshard has given us a lot of upsets. I don't think he's a good fighter. Like, I'm sorry, I don't say it to be mean. I don't know. I can't see Gerald Mearshard getting. Maybe he might be able to get into the bottom 15. I don't see him going anywhere near the top 10. And keep in mind, I don't have high thoughts about the middleweight division. I think the middleweight division is one of the weakest divisions in the UFC, right? Well, because of Hamza is there, because Bo Nickel is there. There are a couple of decent fighters, Israel Adesanya. Like there are a couple of decent fighters in the middleweight division, but as a whole, I don't feel like the division is strong. Like when you it's okay. Maybe the worst will be heavyweight at the top. As far as worst, the most shallowest divisions. Let me put it like that. The shallowest divisions. I mean, Roman Dolite is ranked in the light heavyweight and middleweight division. I don't think Roman Dolite is that good. Um, and he's ranked, so that should tell you how bad those divisions are. So for me personally, I don't feel like they are that good, and still, I don't think Gerald Mearshart is going to be able to even get to the top 10. Maybe top 15, number 15, 14, maybe, but I don't see him getting any close to 10. And I know that a lot of people have pointed out that Reina, and even my research has shown that Reina does not have great striking. But I don't know, man. And who was it? Who was making this point? Someone made the point that one championship does not have a good MMA roster, right? Which is fair. But in my opinion, right, behind the UFC, I'd say it's one championship. It might not have the deepest divisions, but Reina de Rida was able to become a two division champion, if I'm not mistaken. Middleweight and light heavyweight. I think I'm not particularly sure. I think these are the divisions, right? He was able to become a two division champion. That's not an easy feat, irrespective of what promotion you are fighting for. It's one of the most difficult things to achieve, right? And one championship, in my opinion, is behind the UFC. Um, Especially if you look, for example, I forgot the dude who beat the Demetrius Johnson, right? That just goes to show. But Demetrius Johnson is one of the greatest fighters of all time, and he got knocked out. Obviously, he came back and won the belt and defended it. But my point is that they have decent fighters. If there's anyone who can beat Demetrius Johnson, then I feel like that they have decent fighters. Maybe not the deepest divisions. So with that being said, I think Reina de Ride is going to be significantly better. Not significantly, but Gerald Mearshart is normally terrible, but a lot of people eventually lose. I think Gerald Mearshart has like how many submissions that he does he have? I don't know. It's somewhere. Is it over 20? I should have checked that. He has so many submissions, and it's because he's good there, and that's how he normally wins the fight with grappling. He's not going to win with striking, right? I don't feel like even though both of them are terrible on the feet. I honestly don't see. I honestly don't see Gerald Mearshart piecing up Reina the Rider. I honestly don't see that happening. Reina, I would be concerned about Reina the Rider's cardio, but he was a two division champion. I think his cardio is fine. Experience as well. Even though he hasn't been fighting the best fighters in the world, I think he can handle fighting Gerald Mearshart. So what makes Gerald Mearshart dangerous is not going to play a factor in this fight because it's going to get neutralized by because Reina is really good on the ground as well. I think he's better than Gerald Mearshart in my opinion. And he might shock us and show us that he's actually better, but I don't see that happening. So, in conclusion, I don't see an upset happening here. I think Reina Derrida is rightfully the favorite. Yeah, on to the next one. Neil Magny versus Carlos Prates. My subscribers and I went with Carlos Prates. Magny is the underdog at plus 475. Prates is the favorite. What did I say? Magny is the underdog at plus 475. Prates is the favorite at minus 670, 670. Do I think an upset is possible here? I made these points when I was doing my final predictions and breakdowns, right? I'm going to respond to everyone in a moment. Plus, I'm done. I just want to give you my thoughts, especially the people who didn't watch the final predictions. Right? Carlos Prates does not have great takedown defense. Let's not even speak about his ground game. I'm not even going to entertain his ground game because it's not great. I'm just going to speak about takedown defense. It's not good, right? I don't feel like he's living like an athlete. It's all great, like, and I know people were saying, do not compare. What do you call him? Do not compare Mike Malott to Carlos Prates, which is fair. But one of the things that made Mike Malott so popular and so exciting to many people was that he was finishing fights and he was finishing them. He was finishing them quickly. All right. So that's the same thing that Carlos Prates is doing. The difference is, I think Carlos Prates actually it's a popular fact that he smokes, so his lungs probably cannot handle a 5 rounder. I don't think his cardio is going to be better than Neil Magny. Um, and I'm picking Carlos Prates. Like I was saying earlier on my stream, I'm going to give you my concerns. This is not me saying Neil Magny is going to win. I'm just not 600 minus. Let me see. What are the odds? I'm just not minus 670 confident that Carlos Prates wins this fight, right? Because apart from the things that I've mentioned, I think Neil Magny is going to be a little bit better defensively. Um, by that I mean Neil Magny is very hard to hit, right? It's not very easy to hit him. Um, when was the last time he got knocked down? Oh, I forgot it was a couple of months ago. But still, it's like when was the last time before that? Like Magny does not get knocked out frequently, even though he got knocked out a couple of months ago. But if you remove that knockout, when was the other last time he got knocked down? So I think he's really good defensively, and I'm 100% sure that he's going to mix in the takedowns and the grappling. I'm not very confident in Carlos Prates' gas tank. I'm not gonna lie. On top of the fact that he has terrible takedown defense, um, I don't know, man. If this fight, plus it's 5 rounds, so if this fight goes to a decision, I don't know if it's going to be Prates. I mean, once again, if anyone is going to win a robbery, it's going to be Prates. But I don't know if it gets past the second round. I would see. Um, okay, actually, maybe let me start responding to your comments. Tweezy is making really decent points, but the problem is you might feel like he's building. Um, I mean, Halil Roundtree looked good in the first and second round, and he started to slow down. I think in the third round. So you can look good early in a fight, and Carlos Prates has been fighting 3 rounds so far, right? Twizy, you make really good points, but and once again, I'm picking Carlos Prates, right? Pereira typically builds into fights as well. Nah, man, I don't think. I think if Khalil Roundtree had enough cardio, I think he would have beaten Alex Pereira. I don't think it was him building. I think he was. I know a lot of people might disagree with this. In that fight, Halil Rountree was better. He just didn't have cardio. I think if Halil Rountree had cardio in that fight, he would have beaten Alex Pereira. Because he actually even dropped him. So I don't think it was Alex Pereira building into a fight. Because Alex Pereira can knock you out in the first round. He's been doing that. So it's not like he was waiting for the fourth round to knock him out. Just that the opportunity wasn't being presented. And it's because Halil Rountree was fighting really well. So I honestly don't feel like Alex Pereira was building into that, but that's a separate argument. My point is I don't know. I haven't seen Carlos Prates fighting in the third round, in the fourth round, and I feel like if it gets there, I'm not going to be too confident that Prates wins that fight. Um, you can disagree with me, that's fine. And I'm officially picking Carlos Prates. Do not mistake my criticism for my official pick of my official prediction. This is not my official prediction. Is not Magny. I'm not picking Magny. I'm just saying there are a couple of elements that make me concerned about what do you call him? Prates actually winning. I don't feel like health wise, and even he said that he hasn't been living like a proper athlete. If you watch his interviews, Carlos Prates did say that he wants to fight now, and then he wants to fight again in Perth, Australia next year, and then after that he wants to take a break and maybe improve and work on his health and fix everything that needs to be fixed, because now, because he's getting into the rankings, the fights are going to be a little bit harder because now ranked contenders are a little bit more difficult to beat. That these are his words. So if he's going to wait up until next year to actually take care of his health, maybe he's talking about injuries, maybe he's talking, but I'm sure one of those things is probably him leaving the cigarette and everything like that, because I feel like that's one of the things that will significantly impact his cardio enough to actually knock out Neil Magny. But I'm just saying there are a couple of flaws in Pratis's game that make me worry about him actually getting the win. But my official pick is Carlos Prates. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Um, I'm seeing my nephew. Anyway, so let me respond to your comments before I bounce. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. I'm responding to the initial people who commented early. Um, and then I'll get to the bottom ones. I still have enough battery. Normally, my battery gives out. Um, show 'em show 'em. Yeah, that was my nephew. I'm sorry about that. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Which ones did I answer? Oh yeah, I think it's here. What's your confident picks? Oh, I didn't give you guys that. My confident picks would be. I don't know. I want to say Carlos Prates, but after everything I said, I'm doubting myself now. Okay, at the top of the list, I'd say Trayshawn Goal, but I'm not very confident because of the reach. I feel like Antonio Trocoli might be problematic. Um, but I'll say Trayshawn Goal. That's number one. Number two would be. Let me see. I'd say Denise Gomes. I don't like making women's MMA fights my confident picks, but I'd say Denise Gomes. Let me see who else. I want to say Gillian Robertson, but I feel like she's going to get robbed. MMA. And this is not a joke. I think she's going to get robbed. I think, I think on the feet the fight is going to be close between Pinheiro and Robertson, and on the ground I favor Gillian Robertson, but I feel like Luana Pinheiro is has decent takedown defense, so she might keep the fight standing and thereby making the fight close and then get a robbery. Like I think Luana is going to win via robbery. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, so I'm not going to say Gillian Robertson, unfortunately. So far it's Trayshawn Gore, Denise Gomes, and I'll say Reina Derrida, but I'm, I don't know. I haven't seen enough from him to actually be confident. But there's so many close fights on this card. I feel like these are the only three fights that I feel pretty confident about. Maybe you can add Carlos Prates into that if you feel pretty confident about him. I don't. So I'm not going to even say that I feel confident about this one. Um, so yeah, I think I'm going to say Trayshawn Gore, Denise Gomes, and Reina Derrida. I think those are my three confident picks. And then who are the people who I might be wrong about? Let's say this: who are probably going to win or upsets? Let me predict actual upsets. I don't know how to call it. Okay, my upsets predictions. Basically, that's it. Yeah, upsets predictions. Who's the biggest underdog here or the best underdog? I'd say Ricky Turkios. Um, Ricky Turkios. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. There's so many, man. The fight, all the fights that I said, but I'm going to give you the ones that I feel like have a high probability of winning. But I feel like Claudia might probably win this fight. I feel like Chocoli has a shot. But not too much. But it's only the reach that worries me, and that can influence a lot of things. But let me give you like the three underdogs that I feel like might actually win this fight. Number one will be Ricky Turkios. Number two, I'd say Dusko Todorovic. Um, Number three, Matthew Samuelsberger. Um, Let me see. And Zachary Scroggin. So the people that I felt like the people who my picks because I picked against these people. So the picks that I might be wrong about: number one, Ricky Turkios, Dusko Tudorovic, um, Zachary Scroggin, and Matthew Samuelsberger. So those are the four people that I feel like might actually upset my predictions. Right? There are a lot of risky fights on this card, but out of every prediction that I've made so far, I feel like these four worry me more than anyone else. Um, Once again, let me repeat them for the last time. So my confident picks would be my. Let me repeat my confident picks and my upsets predictions basically. So my confident picks is Trayshawn Gore. Let me not say confident, mid-level confidence. Trayshawn Gore, Denise Gomes, and Reina Derrida. Mid-level confidence. The people who might upset my picks are Ricky Turkios, Dusko Tudorovic, um, Zachary Scroggin, and Matthew Samuelsberger. Yeah, let me continue to respond to you. So I think I gave you my picks, my locks, and my possible upsets that I might get wrong. Let me continue responding to your messages, or rather your comments. I love this part, guys. Oh, this is so nice. It's like having a conversation with people around the world. Well, it's not like that. It's actually like that. I'm having conversations with people from USA, Canada, UK. I saw someone from Spain. There's so many people from all over the world. So this is kind of nice to know that it's a conversation. It's a global conversation. Not many, not many get to have that. Anyway, let me respond. What's your confident picks? I think I just answered that right now. Depends if it stays upright. I can't remember which fight I was talking about, Twizy. Um, I can't remember which fight I was talking about. Jason Gordon, if he can defend takedowns, he should win. I think we were talking about the Matthew Burger and the Charles Redkey fight, right? I can't remember. I think that's the fight. Jason Gordon, I think that fight got cancelled. Oh, we're talking about Zaleski Dos Santos. Bro, is Zaleski risky? Yeah, 100%. My predictions for that fight came out in the shorts section of the channel, and I said that fight is 100% risky, especially because I almost went with Zachary Scroggin, but for the first time in a very long time, I disagreed with my prediction strategy. So I guess I'll see how that serves me. And if I get it wrong, I'm going to slap myself because the reason I created my prediction strategy is to avoid making emotional decisions. Um, Jason Gordon, I wanna say it got cancelled. Okay, no, that's not the fight. The Dolby pulled out because of injury. I'm not particularly sure, man. According to you, can Denisi Gomes finish the fight under 3 rounds? You know what? In hindsight, after looking and after predicting the fight, I think Denisi Gomes can actually win. Can actually finish the fight. When when I started this live, I didn't think so. But when I started comparing the fight to the Gillian Robertson versus Luana Pinheiro fight, I was like, okay, I think Denise Gomes has a shot because she has power. Even though the fight, I think, is going to be a little bit close on the feet. I think Denise Gomes has the difference maker, which is power, and but I think it's going to give her the ability to dominate the fight. I think it might still be a little bit difficult to finish the fight because I feel like any fighter actually needs to look like Karini Silva on their way up for me to feel confident in their ability to finish a fight. I don't see that in Denise Gomes. I still feel like there is a possibility, but I wouldn't say the possibility of a finish under 3 rounds is high for me personally. Especially because Karolina Kavokevich is a seasoned fighter in the UFC, so we're not talking about someone she can run through. We're talking about someone who's probably going to put up a fight and someone who's going to um, try and avoid getting finished. So I'm not too confident she's going to be able to finish the fight, but it is possible. Jason Gordon, experience goes a long way. Yeah, I think we were talking about the Dos Santos here. That's true, but and I'm not discrediting that, but it can only take you so far. That's why I asked the question. Right now, between Stipe and John Jones, who do you think wins? You are probably going to say John Jones. Let's say it's 8 years ago. I'm asking the same question. Between John Jones and Stipe, who's going to win the fight? I'm sure you're going to be a little bit more confused now. Why? Because age is different. So age does play a significant factor. And Zachary Scroggin, once again, trains with Trey Ogden. He's not a terrible fighter. He trains with
Garrett Anfield. He's not a terrible fighter. So I feel like he has a decent shot at actually winning. Despite the fact that he's been fighting cans, I mean, maybe he's been trying to get like experience. And I wouldn't blame anyone who fights. Okay, I'd blame them a little bit, but it showed he can still fight because even though the person he fought was 19 and 14, it's the only experienced guy that I can see that I saw him fighting. He won. Even though he won a decision, he won. So for me personally, I feel like sometimes maybe fighters just pad their records so that when they get to the UFC, because everyone is trying to get into the UFC, so when you fight cans, you get a little bit of experience, and then your win record goes up. And then when you present yourself to the UFC and you're like, hey, I want to be in the UFC or I want to be on the contender series, and you are able to say I'm 10-0 or I'm 9-0, and they're like, oh, that's impressive, and then they take you and they give you a shot. I think that's what a lot of fighters are doing right now. They pad their records, but it's not like all of them are terrible. There was this chick on the contender series who they were like was a massive underdog. I forgot her name, and she got a knockout in the first round. Probably one of the best knockouts on the contender series this season. So it just goes to show that even if someone you feel like they have a padded record, especially when they're coming from such a decent, I wouldn't say Marathon MMA is one of the best gyms. I wouldn't say that, but the fact that they were able to produce the Trey Ogden, and I think Trey Ogden is also a coach at that particular gym. So I think they are able to prepare their fighters. So I think Zachary Reese, sorry about that. Zachary Scroggin has a shot at actually winning. I wouldn't actually be confident that he loses. Tweezy Rich Scroggin is sort of live. Randy Brown is the same size. I just wonder if he can grapple with the EDS Eleski Dos Santos. Okay, that's fair. That's one of the things that made it difficult because Dos Santos is good. Like I think he has a win over Sean Strickland. I mean, even though it was years ago, but Dos Santos is definitely good. I'm not discrediting that. I'm just saying he's old now. It's kind of like saying Stipe is also good. Stipe is good, but he's old. Like age changes things, and Stipe is that heavyweight. Dos Santos is like at welterweight, if I'm not mistaken. So it's different. Mix informative. What's up, my wow? Assad. Uh, I don't know your language, my dude. I apologize for that. Mix informative. Where are you from, by the way? South Africa. Jason Gordon. A real fan of the sport. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, that's the point I was making. I think you were agreeing with what I was saying. Um, Assad. Good. Oh, okay. Jason Gordon, he's an all-round dog. Trey Ogden, yeah, I 100% agree, man. And he's very strong in whether it's grappling exchanges or striking. I think he's a decent fighter. So for me, if they are able to produce that, then that's impressive. Not impressive, but something to worry about. Hello, I'm South Korean. Welcome, welcome. That's what I was saying on this stream. I was like, it's always nice to talk to you guys because I'm talking to people from around the world, and it's a different experience. Mix informative. What do you think about Anka Live versus Alex? I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of people. Maybe it's to get a title shot. UFC is going into this era whereby they are basically indirectly forcing people to stop grappling unless you are Hamza Chimaev. Like if you cannot finish fights like Hamza Chimaev or Bo Nickel, then they tell you nah, don't grapple. I heard there was a rumor that Carl Williams was told before his fight to not grapple. I can't remember. I remember picking Carl Williams in that fight, and I was like, dude, why aren't you wrestling? And then it came out that there was. It seems like he was told to not wrestle. What do you call this guy? Mohammed Mokaev said something similar to that. He was being told to not wrestle. I think that's what he said. Uh, that sounded odd. Anyway, that's what he said. He said he was being told to not wrestle. Um, so my feelings on Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev are a little bit different because I don't know how Ankalaev is going to fight. I think Ankalaev is a very good striker, but he struggles with leg kicks, and that's where Alex Pereira excels. My opinion on Ankalaev's striking has improved since he fought Alexander Rakik, because in my opinion, Rakik is probably Rakage. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his surname properly. Alexander Rakage is probably one of in the top three of the best strikers in the light heavyweight division. Even in the heavyweight division, to be honest. But in the light heavyweight division, I'd say it's Alex Pereira. Um, Jiri is a little bit too wild for me, and Alexander Rakage was winning that fight. So I'd put Alexander Rakage at number two as far as talented strikers, right? And for Ankalaev to actually be able to beat him the way he did, I'd say Ankalaev goes to number two in terms of striking. My biggest problem is Ankalaev was struggling with the leg kicks from Wreckage. Just that Wreckage somehow abandoned them. I don't know what he felt, but he abandoned them, right? I don't think Alex Pereira is going to abandon them. I feel like Ankalaev might go into that fight and strike and only wrestle out of desperation like he did against Jan Blahovic, because Jan Blahovic was busy destroying his leg, right? And he started to wrestle out of desperation. I don't like that. I don't think Alex Pereira is going to be easy to wrestle if you're wrestling out of desperation and it's not something you worked on in camp, which is something I don't think Ankalaev is going to be working on. But once again, Alex Pereira is 37 years old, and I know that he hasn't showed signs of slowing down. And what do you call him? What's this guy's name? Glover Teixeira was able to become a champion at like, was he like 44 or something? I can't remember. But he was able to become a champion very later in his age. That also just goes to show how terrible the. Let me not say that, because Jan Blahovic is a really talented fighter. So for him to submit Jan Blahovic was a really good win. So let me not say that. But nonetheless, I know that Jan, but again, Glover Teixeira was able to become a champion later in his career, and he's training Alex Pereira. So whatever he was doing, maybe he's helping Alex Pereira to do the same thing so that he can perform longer in his career. But Ankalaev is still in his prime, and I think he's a really decent fighter. So everything I just said right now makes the predicting this fight a little bit more difficult. That's why I'm happy I have a strategy, because it's hard to predict this fight, largely because you have to go into this fight thinking that Ankalaev is probably not going to wrestle until he gets hurt, and that's not a good strategy. So I can't give you an official prediction without looking at my strategy. Someone asked me about Shafkat Rachmanov versus Bilal Mohammed, and I was able to give like a breakdown based on my knowledge of them. That was a little bit easier to break down. This one is a little bit challenging. If Ankalaev was going to implement the wrestling, I'd say Ankalaev was going to definitely win this fight. But because I feel like he's going to try and prove a point,
I don't know, man. Uh, I think this is the one of those fights that I'm going to lean heavily on my strategy. I honestly don't know. Um, I honestly don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know why I'm looking at my papers. Let me actually continue. I actually took a lot of time actually responding to this comment. Hello, have a nice day. You never stay too long on the stream, dude. You always come on the stream and you tell me you're from South Korea and then you leave. But at least that's memorable. Now that's something that you do that I know you do. So at least I know you now. um, Jason Gordon, his jab was on point last week. Yeah, it was. It was. I can't remember who you're talking about, by the way. Bye bye, dude from South Korea. It was nice having you on the chat while it lasted. Um, Mix informative. Alex versus Uncle Life. What do you think? Damn, I just went in on that particular fight. Jason Gordon. Dos Santos does fade later on in the fight. Yeah, it worries me very much. Shelton Pereira, John will win. What John are we talking about here? Like John Miles Johns was is not on the card. Are we talking about John Jones? Was it when I made the comparison? Um, Mix informative, you there? Um, Tuesday, I still haven't picked this one. I think you were talking about the Bolanos fight. Mix informative, can you stop yapping for a second? Oh my god. Dude, like normally when I do, clearly you're new to the channel. Normally when I do my predictions, I focus on doing predictions. And then after that, I I answer questions, right? Maybe I should actually start doing lives whereby I just talk to you guys, right? I think maybe that's something that I should start doing because normally when I do predictions, like I'm focused on breaking down the fights and actually giving you guys as much information as I can. But maybe I should start doing lives whereby I just read the comments and we just have a conversation. Especially because a lot of people like stay online whenever I respond to comments. So maybe that's something I should actually start considering doing. Um, so mix informative. Just say it a little bit more respectful next time. A 5G issue. Uh, these 5Gs are very unreliable. But should I continue reading comments, especially because let me see who's still here. I mean, the people who I wanted to respond to. Denise. Okay, Twizzy. Big Food Channel, Chimaev. Yeah, Once Upon an Oil Fields, Miles Jones versus Felipe Lima at UFC Tampa on 14 November. Oh, okay. That's pretty awesome. Um, Zaleski also went tit for tat with Renard on the feed and got dropped. Who I don't rate as a striker, to be honest. Definite dog or pass. Yeah, Tweezy, you have a really solid point. Um, Alan's Yoel Romero, the soldier of God. Okay, bro, Alex versus Uncle Live. I actually broke it down, man. Real spots, real spots, bad picks. Definitely don't want to see dirty fighting. Ricky Ain. Real sports bad picks. I don't think Ricky has a striking to survive. He may steal a robbery here because of some takedown and control time. But other than that, he's just a dirty fighter. I mean, people grab fences. I mean, in MMA, dirty fighting recently seems like the way to go. Short McGee, how are you, man? Damien, Chocoli garbage. Yeah, he is, but man, that reach can be problematic. Real sports bad picks. Then if you take
Then if you take the knockout out, that's my plus 500. Real sports bet picks. I think it's only negative 400. Okay. That's why I like reading comments from the top and not from the bottom because there's context, because people have been commenting from the top. But I got disconnected, so maybe I should bounce because I'm done doing the upsets predictions. We'll talk Monday when I do my results video. I'm looking the predictions for UFC 309 for those who are not subscribers of the channel will come out tomorrow. Go through the channel. There's so many things here. I've actually also included robbery predictions. They are going to officially start next week. So I'm going to start predicting robberies, but I'll see if I'm going to add it on the streams. But on the video section, it'll be on the video section, the robbery predictions, because they do happen very often, and I think it's important for me to actually include it, especially because of the nature of my channel. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, go through the channel. First, your first stop should be the short section on the channel. Then go to the video section. Then go to the community section. There's a lot of information there. And maybe go to the live section. See you in the comment section or Monday when I do the prediction results. Until then, I love and appreciate all of you. Deuces.